Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call, particularly those of you calling in for the first time and those that will be listening to the replay over the next 24 to 48 hours. We like to move quickly through this call, bottom line the information for you. Our standard format is to spend a few minutes talking about the reinstitution and revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, which we continue to believe is the base currency for the potential reset of these other currencies. A few minutes talking about the program we've put in place to assist you, and then go to a brief Q&A. Our plan for this week was to have a full-blown call, which would incorporate all of that information. But I received a call early this morning about a conference call in D.C. that I've been invited to participate in. Now, this is a very important call. It hopefully will confirm a lot of the information I'm about to discuss with you right now. Unfortunately, those calls are not recorded, so I will miss the information if I'm not into that call. That call is scheduled for noon, which is right now. Every couple of months this seems to happen, but I cannot complain about their deciding to have calls Wednesday at noon, because I've been having my call Wednesday at noon for years. So it is what it is. But I want to very quickly get into the situation right now because I think the news is very good. First, by way of disclaimer, Trusts Unlimited is not the purveyor of the dinar and these other currencies. We're not advocating either the sale or purchase of the dinar or these other currencies, but as rather substantial currency holders ourselves, we're sharing with you the information we deem to be relevant. And, of course, the most relevant piece of information would be our view as to a window for the reinstitution of the dinar. We've been in a window from April 1 to August 15th. That's a 6-week window. We still are very optimistic that that window is a viable window, and hopefully the information that I'm going to glean from the call that I'm going to jump into will confirm that. The first 10 or 15 minutes of that call is pretty much a meet and greet, so I'm not missing too much, and that gives me enough time to share with you the information that I receive. I have so much information, I really have to select what I discuss here and try to bottom line it again for you, because the information is coming in fast and furious. Hopefully we'll be able to confirm the following. We've been told that a number of rather high-level arrests have been made in Europe and the United States, and that these arrests were necessary in order to proceed with the global reset, not of the entire globe, but rather the reset or revaluation of about a dozen critical currencies. We've also been told that Iraq is now a member of the WTO. Now, whether they are provisionally a member, whether there's a future date, or whether they're actually a full-blown member, I'm going to try to find out for sure. But I can tell you this. There is no way that Iraq would be a member of the World Trade Organization unless they have already determined internally that they're going to reinstitute their currency and that they've established a rate and that the World Trade Organization is aware of this. So this is very good news. Now, we also know that Prime Minister Kazemi of Iraq had a visit at the White House. I always get nervous when these things happen because I simply do not believe that Joe Biden is running the show. Much like the Mueller report years ago, I think Mueller was put out there much the way Biden has, an old harmless fossil that basically is in control of nothing, and that there are ideologues behind the scene that are running the show. And the reason I was nervous is because we know that the folks on the left particularly are not interested in the reinstitution and revaluation of the dinar if that translates to 8 million new millionaires in the United States, because those people are not going to vote for bigger government and higher taxes. But that being said, it seems that the meeting went pretty well. Now, there was an announcement, at least symbolically, that there will be a departure of U.S. forces from Iraq, leaving only field advisors. Now, this makes me a little nervous because I think that this is an opportunity for Iran to begin their misbehavior. Hopefully that won't be the case. It was also announced that the United States will be lifting the Ofac sanctions, which of course would be a prerequisite for the reinstitution of their currency. Now, Ofac is part of the Treasury Department. It's the Office of Financial Asset Control. And the reason the Ofac sanctions were put in place, although they were removed, there were moratoriums in Iraq at times, but they were basically put in place because Iraq was violating the U.S. sanctions against Iran. But the United States realized that, at least on the short term, Iraq really needed the assistance of Iran, and to some extent they still do. Now, this also means, by lifting the Ofac sanctions, that the U.S. government will be fortifying the reserves of the Central Bank of Iraq, meaning that they will be rendering those reserves immune from seizure from other countries like Kuwait. They need the reserve currency operationally for their government until their currency reinstitutes. But again, with the World Trade Organization, with the agreements with the White House, I see no other explanation other than the decision to reinstitute and a rate have already been determined. It's just a matter of announcing it publicly. Now, the result of this meeting between the White House and Kazemi of Iraq means that if Kazemi should decide to run for re-election, he had said earlier that he did not want to run for re-election. It seems as though he may have changed his mind. But with this agreement, only Kazemi or someone of his ilk will probably be able to be reelected, because going back to the misery of the Maliki years is just not an option at this point for Iraq. So this is all very, very good news. We're still staying in our window, which means, or which infers, that the reinstitution of the dinar will occur on or before August 15th. This is very important timing. We want to get this reinstitution in the first 6 weeks, if not the first month of a quarter, for reasons I've stated ad nauseum in the past. And for those of you, again, calling in for the first time, I strongly suggest that you go to our call of June 2nd, because that call has a detailed explanation of the program we put in place to assist you. And mercifully, we're running out of time, and it looks like the reinstitution of the dinar is a distinct possibility in the very near future. We are closer now than we ever have been before. It seems that despite the situation in the White House, we have the right people involved in this. There are, at this point, only two potential obstacles for the reinstitution. The first would be the dwindling number of people that, for their own selfish or political reasons, don't want to see it happen. And again, I think that we're to the point of no return, and there's nothing they can do to stop this. As a matter of fact, there's nothing that the folks on the left in this country can do to stop what I believe is going to be coming in the next 4 to 6 weeks in this country. I think that there's going to be a realignment that's been ongoing, in my view, probably for decades. The second is Iran. Iran, of course, is committed to the destruction of Israel and the hegemony of the Middle East. However, they've been put on formal notice by the international agencies, the IMF, the Bank of International Settlements, the UN, the World Trade Organizations, and all of these groups, that they will never see the reinstitution and evaluation of their real globally if they continue to misbehave. So it looks like the stars are finally aligned. Because we've been involved in this for so long, we know that we've been so frustrated in the past when we've been close, but we've been nowhere as close as we are right now. And let's hope and pray that this is finally over, that we're going to see the reinstitution and the quick revaluation of the dinar globally, to be followed shortly thereafter by as many as a dozen other currencies. Now, for those of you calling in for the first time, you can go to our website, which is trusts with an S, unlimitedllc.com. Our email address is trusts with an S, unlimitedllc@gmail.com. Our phone service is 605-313-5164. If you'd like to listen to our replay, you dial the same number with the exception of the last number. Rather than dialing a 4, you'll dial a 3, and then use the same access code, which is 739-394-POUND. On a week-to-week basis, as we've said in the past, we have put a moratorium on marketing our trust to new prospective clients. However, individuals that contact us on their own and request our initial package with the intention of establishing a trust can contact us. We'll provide all of the information that they need, and I hope that these weekly calls will not be necessary in the very near future, and that they will be devoted to the management of these post-RV funds, the exchange process, and all of that valuable information. So thanks very much for contacting us and listening to this call. I'm going to have to jump out and get to this other call. We certainly will have a call next week. If something of a dramatic nature were to happen between now and then we will try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. But failing that, we'll be back next Wednesday, probably with a full-blown call, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Have a great week, everyone, and thanks for listening. Bye-bye.